Opportunity of a decade. You have probably heard versions of this in the small business area, maybe Cody Sanchez, Alex Hermosi, Gary Vee. Maybe you've heard about it in boutique hotels. Shoot, maybe you've heard me talk about buying apartment buildings. What am I talking about? Well, folks, baby boomers are starting to retire. They're starting to liquidate assets. Some of this means you can buy on seller financing. Some of these means you can buy for distressed prices. But yes, is the opportunity of a decade boomer transitioning real, or is it just hocus pocus? Bo, I know you got some stats on this. What do you say?
Yeah, I think I think that it's true. There's going to be a lot of transition, not only in business, but in real estate, right? You're going to get enough people are going to be retiring and they're going to be downsizing their houses. They're going to be selling their businesses. And oftentimes some of these people just shut their businesses down because they don't have any kind of succession plan. And a lot of businesses that get listed don't even transfer. There's only like a small percentage, maybe like 12 or 13% that are listed by a broker actually sell, which is interesting.
Wow.
The difference really is that the difference between real estate investing and business ownership, in my opinion, is business ownership is very much more fragmented and obviously a lot more work, but it's very fragmented. And then you come to the realization in the business world that there's levels to the game. And I just took a mergers and acquisitions workshop yesterday.
Oh, nice.
And the instructor, his name was Bill. He owns a M&A company, and he represents like corporations that come in and buy. So just imagine like a minnow swimming in the pond, right? And then a big, a trout comes up and eats that. And the trout might be a private equity. Then there's these big corporations that are the whales that eat those. So there's what you learn is that there's levels to the game. That's the thing. Like you can easily get humbled when you look at the big equation of everything. But the good news is we don't need to be a whale because we just need one viable business. And the people that are winning are doing the same things we talk about on the show day in and day out. Define a buy box, look at deals in that buy box, and then rule them out, and then go deep when you find something that's very interesting to you. I just talked to an investor the other day, and he provides like small equity injections, or he invests as more of a passive owner, and he'll look at 200 deals and he'll invest in one, and his average investment's about $100,000 per deal. So it's the same principle. You got to look at deals, and so the guy that I helped buy that $10 million business through the financing aspect, he just circled back to me and he said his revenue's up like 50%. And he now is buying another business.
Nice.
That like a complementary business to this business, right? So like I do think that there's a huge opportunity. I do think that AI is going to be a huge disruption, and like the early adopters are going to be able to do this, because now with the automations, you can just crush it.
Yeah. I mean, I think about, some of the people I was talking to in the boutique hotel space. What's really, really interesting is when you look at the history of the hotels that the boomers own, they typically own them on the best patch of dirt in town because they built them 50 years ago and then the town filled in around them. Also, what's interesting is they're generally not using tech. They're not even using the web, let alone AI, right, in these situations. So again, you could go in and just get them on the standard, Expedia booking sites would be a huge lift. You could start getting AI assistants to check people in and upsell, late check-in, things of that nature. I really do think, working with baby boomers, to sell, especially if you can get financing, small business financing with some seller financing, really get that layered cake, right? Stack the deck or the debt. And then you just bring tech. This is why your friend's already up 50%, because he bought a building or bought a business and he just brought new energy, new vitality, and new tech. And it's not even magic. It's just simple blocking and tackling. So I hope a lot of people, start having, start reaching out to baby boomers and start talking about buying their businesses or buying their hotels or buying their apartment buildings. Just makes total sense.
Yeah, the other thing I realized when I was at the International Franchise Association last week was like how big the world really is. And like the opportunities are all around us. And I think getting yourself in these different environments where you actually sit there and like you're learning from people that are doing bigger deals and understanding like what are they doing? How do they evaluate deals? Like that's never going to, you could improve every single day if you want to. So it's like, it's up to us to like figure this out. But the guys and girls that actually do it and actually take action, they're looking at deals every day. Like this kid that bought the $10 million business, looking at deals every day, found the deal, boom, he locked in on it. $4 million a year in cash flow from that one business. Like 300 grand out of his pocket.
Simple.
So you don't need millions and millions of dollars. You can start with 30 or 50. So tremendous opportunities. It's just who's gonna take action. And what Cody was talking about at the IFA keynote was just like how fast you have to be able to implement today, because things are moving a lot quicker. And that's kind of scary for a lot of people, I think, that like, oh, well, I don't want to change. I don't want to change the things I'm doing. Right. But every company at the IFA, all the marketing companies, they all did something in AI now. You know, hey, this is how we get you leads. We do, virtual door knocking. We do, even in real estate investing, you're seeing a lot of these high level wholesalers like Adrian, right? Doing lots of big transactions. What are they doing? They're using technology to their advantage.
Yeah. Again, there's a lot of, if you're really, so I can think a couple of things are true. One is this is going to be the opportunity of a decade. There will be more wealth transferred in the next decade or two because father time is undefeated. And right now, baby boomers own something like 40 or 45% of all small businesses. All of those need to transact. Second, most of these will not transition to the next generation. There will be some, right? There maybe is 10% or so that'll go from father to son or mother to daughter or what it'll stay in the family. But most of these won't. And to your point earlier, if they don't transition, they're going to go to zero, right? They're just going to shut down. And that is, that's unfortunate. So I really do see a lot of potential out there. And especially if you look at what's going on with the threat of AI and white collar and all of those things, it might be the time to go, hey, my plan B is running a, AC company or a painting company. And again, you don't have to lift the paintbrush, but you could run the operation for sure.
Yeah. I think that intimidates a lot of people. Like, they're in corporate. They're like, well, I don't know if I can actually do it. Like they're comfortable.
Yeah, I understand.
And that's fine. Being comfortable is fine. But if you're a doer and you want to do it, like do it. Right. And I think that's get yourself around people that are doing it. And like, your school community, I always see people chime in, like people are doing it, right? They're taking action. And that's how people go. And all of a sudden they start with 0 rental properties. And like, you see them 2 years later and they got 20 doors. It's like, how did you do that? Right. It's just, they took massive action.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's exciting though. I think we're in a very exciting era. I mean, there's a lot of uncertain things happening in the world with wars and whatnot going on. But ultimately, if you do everyday wealth building, if you're an everyday wealth builder, just keep doing that and keep going forward. And like, that's the opportunities. And I don't care if you're starting with vending or whatever you want. Let's start you with something.
No, I think you're right. One of the things that I think we need to do a better job, you and I, is just remind people of the vending being that kind of easy entree into entrepreneurship, especially if you're a parent, maybe you have teenagers or whatnot still at home, really making it a family project, get the parents a tax write-off, have the kids, do their 1 hour a week or whatever it is per machine, and really make it, you really can start something with vending. So again, I think it's something that more and more people should reach out and call you about, because I think it could be really a family run business, which is great for the parents' taxes and great for the kids, work ethic and all of that. It's pretty cool.
I just talked to a rec guy yesterday, Northern California, law enforcement, does fairly well, but he's burnt out of being in law enforcement. And he was like, he wanted to get my take on starting a cleaning business. And I said, well, we started talking about franchising, and I said, you could bootstrap it, you could do a franchise. But I said, you're dealing with employees, and like he had a family, and I said, maybe I brought up vending, and then he brought up his kids, and then I said, yeah, your spouse isn't working, right? And he's like, look, I understand. Unless I get a ton of machines, I'm not going to make millions of dollars. But I said, tax write-off. And he was about getting his kids involved, and
there you go.
And I'm seeing that more and more. I had a conversation with a guy today who sounded pretty successful. He's a professor at a university and teaches finance.
Mm-hmm.
And his son is like 30 and works for some big firm, but he's going to help his son. And now this guy's got a little bit more capital to help, but like they're going to do something big together. So whether you start small vending or you want to go big because you might have excess capital, then there's something for everybody. So you just got to really figure out what that something is, and like just learn about it and take action, and don't second guess yourself a million times. That's kind of the biggest thing I see, is that people don't take action. And so, yeah.
Well, let's go back to, always interested in your thoughts on Cody Sanchez's keynote presentation. Any big takeaways? Did she just rock the room again? What did Cody have to say that you thought was interesting?
She's really evolved, I guess, since like now she's really good at presentations. Like she's well polished.
Yeah,
obviously.
She's very polished now. Yes.
Yes, like way more, and she can read the room. Like I think she's pretty good at reading rooms. I thought her presentation was really good, and she just taught. She has systems for everything, and now she hires like A players, and like she has a whole process for everything. I don't know how big her team is now, and I don't know how much, but
yeah,
she has 30. She has like 30 companies or something like that, portfolio companies now.
Good for her.
So that's an example of somebody that hockey stick. That's not the average person, but she's impressive, regardless of what the actual numbers are or whatever. She's just impressive from the standpoint of,
I agree,
going from Cody, who worked for like investment banking firms, and probably if you worked in investment banking, like you're probably pretty sharp to begin with, right? Like she did.
Yeah, you're certainly not going to rise in the ranks without being sharp. That is true. Yes.
Yeah, but I think the big takeaway is that the big thing she really emphasized is like, look, you got to move fast, you got to implement, and you got to hire A players on your team. So that's the way you got to look at it. And what that encouraged me to do is like, I realized that every time you make a step forward, you realize it's just a certain level of the game. And so like, to some people, somebody that owned 10 rental properties is like on a pedestal. But then you meet somebody that owns 150 and they're on a pedestal. Right. And then you meet somebody who has $1 billion of real estate under management and they're on a pedestal. And it's like, you can never stop growing if you want. And I think the reality of it comes down to is what's good for you. Like you're good, right? Like you said, hey, at 45, I'm cool. I don't need to be mega. I'm cool. I can afford whatever I want, take a bunch of vacations. So what is that for you? Define that and get a coach, get a mentor, join groups, and then, get 1% better every day. Like the other day, I was like, I want to get better. I'm getting older. I grabbed 125 pound in each hand and I did farmer's carries with the 125, 120. So that was like 240, right? That I was carrying. And I was like you can get better every day. And even as you get older in fitness, like when I saw you go from 34 to 10.6% body fat, that motivates me. Like, and that's why I think people stay around this channel, is because I want to be around people that freaking motivate me, because if you're not growing, you're dying. And I don't want to be dying. I want to be growing. Amen. And that's the reality. So I think all of us out there, we're here for a reason. We're on this channel. We're watching this. We're listening because everyday wealth builders. I love that, because that's really what it's all about. It's like, keep growing, and the opportunities are abundant, and the opportunities are just, all around us. And you could just go onto YouTube right now and go to One Rental at a Time and plug in and listen to somebody that's talking about some sort of investment strategy, and you'd go deep on that. And that might be your co-living or your out-of-state investing or your one rental at a time, whatever that is for you. That's the beauty of YouTube university. Never
Yep.
before have we had such an amazing opportunity.
No, I love it. I do want to make one small clarification, Bo. I don't take vacations. I take trips. I'm just saying, I don't need to take a vacation from my life. I take trips. I'm just teasing.
No, that's true. You have the wrong banner up. It should be, guys, go to onerentalmeeting.com. And
Oh,
then
one rental meeting. I'm sorry. Let me fix that. You're right.
You can talk to me. I love talking to ORAP people. If you need a kick in the booty, I'm happy to do that. The one thing I'll say is I'm busy. So, stay on top of me. If you don't hear back from me for like 2 or 3 days, make sure you're texting me. But if you go to onerentalmeeting.com, it's the best way to get a hold of me, and then get some time on my calendar. Let's talk about business acquisition, franchising, maybe building a commercial property with SBA financing, many different use cases that I can probably be of assistance for you. And I have a wealth of friends like Zuber all around the world that might be able to help you too.
Yep. OneRentalMeeting.com. He bought a URL just for this community. Go to it, get your 15 minutes. You will thoroughly enjoy it. Bo is a very nice man and full of knowledge, and he only wants to help, which is really, really cool. Bo, you're amazing.
Thank you, guys.